Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Chris. It's another amazing episode of Financipation. This channel is all about making money. It's all about saving money. It's all about building generational wealth. And it's all about financially emancipating yourself from generational poverty. On this channel, everybody, I try to give you guys the best interviews. And I try to come from financial perspectives, from a different perspective and from a different light. And today I wanted to have a conversation with a very powerful brother, a Muslim gentleman. I myself am Christian, but I want to have a very powerful conversation with a Muslim brother. I've kind of done a little bit of research about what this guy is doing, and I absolutely love it. It's phenomenal as far as work he's doing in our community. So with that, I want to talk about masculinity, feminism, being men, what that means in today's society. I would just kind of say the roles that finances and being a man plays in our culture, in our community, and kind of how we're going to advance the community forward. So with that, let's go ahead and get started. What up, Kenick? How you doing, man? How you feel, bro?
Peace and love, good brother. I'm fantabulous, man, and excited to be here. So thanks for having me.
Nah, thanks, bro, for calling in, man. Seriously, dude, man, I invited a whole bunch of guys on this chat, Christians, Muslims, Jewish brothers, and some atheists. Dude, you were one of the only ones that actually kind of picked up. We could kind of get the ball rolling as far as getting the conversation started. So
Gotcha.
As far as our schedules linking up. So first off, thank you for that, man. I truly appreciate it.
Yeah, brother. Hey, I enjoyed. I think the conversation is one that needs to happen. I think that it's important that we do come together as men and just share our perspectives. You know, I think it's important to realize that, hey, we all share the same interests as it relates to taking care of our family.
Exactly.
So regardless of our beliefs, regardless of any of that, man, at the end of the day, we're men. And as a brother, we got a lot more in common than I think we have different. So, yeah, I think this is a much needed discussion, man. I honor you for even putting it together, brother. So thank you.
Oh, man, thanks, bro. Appreciate it. It's something I wanted to have because there's this narrative going around today that's kind of trying to take men out of the household and kind of trying to belittle particularly black men. And I do not like it at all. And I just know from my time just boxing, mixed martial arts, and things like that, I came across a lot. And in my time living in Philadelphia, I came across a lot of NOI, Nation of Islam guys. So this is one of those kind of conversations where I just kind of learned just from hitting the pads, sparring, fighting guys, things like that in sanctioned fights. We have a lot more in common than we have that are differences. So I guess my first question to you, Kenick, is this. Describe yourself, brother. Where'd you grow up? Where are you from? Who are you, man? Who are you? Describe yourself to my audience.
All right, well, peace and love. First, I rise. I give complete and perfect praise to Allah, the author, creator, the governor of the world, almighty, eternal, and incomprehensible. I give honors to his prophet, Noble Drew Ali. Give honors to all the true and divine prophets, namely Jesus, Muhammad, Buddha, and Confucius. Honors to the harbinger, Marcus, Messiah, Garvey, and every one of you that can hear the sound of my voice. I give honor to you for tuning in. Honors to our beloved brother for putting together this platform and inviting me. So, who am I? I'm your brother, man, and friend. I am a faithful member of the Moorish Science Temple of America. I've been practicing the faith of Islam for really my whole life. I just didn't know it was called Islam, but our religion is Islamism. The Moorish Science of America is a great organization. I've learned a lot over the years. I'm a father. I have 6 children who I love dearly. My oldest is 19. I have twin daughters that are 17 years old. They just turned 17 last week. Happy birthday again, girls. I love y'all dearly. I have a 7-year-old son. I have a 22-month-old daughter, and I have a 6-month-old son. So been a father first, before any of my faith and any of that stuff. I'm just a man and I'm a father. And I serve as a spokesperson within the Moorish Science Temple of America. Been very active. I've done lots of things in the community. I've been recognized by the city of Virginia Beach. I received a Human Rights Award back in 2018, just from working in the community, advocating for human rights for everyone. I ran a mentoring program as well in Virginia Beach Public Schools, specifically working with young men. It was called Men of Distinction. And this was a program we worked with the youth. I received Volunteer of the Year in 2018 as well. And I just recently graduated from the FBI Citizens Academy in 2023. So it was an 8-week program where I went and sat, and participated for 8 weeks, learned about the FBI, what they do in the community. Very eye-opening. So overall, I just consider myself to be a man of faith, a citizen, and, just a brother, man. So I am a regular guy, but I do take community engagement. I take my family life and taking care of others very serious. I grew up a little bit everywhere. My father was in the Navy growing up. He committed when I was 10 years old. So, and that's what prompted me to get into the mentoring program was I know exactly what it was like growing up without a father. And so I had a lot of sympathy and compassion and understanding what many of the youth are facing. And that was my way of giving back. We moved around a lot. By the time I was 12, I lived in about 8 different states. And my mother did a wonderful job raising us, doing the best she can by herself. And yeah, man. So that's just a little bit short overview about who I am. So yeah, man, just a man.
Dope. Let me ask you this, bro. This is a financial channel. 6 kids, man. How do you, from a financial perspective, is that a challenge in our extreme capitalistic society that we live in here in America?
It is. It's based off your mindset. See, I used to buy into the capitalistic mindset, and I used to live it out myself. I was a firm believer that money made the world go round, and money made the man. And I have 6 children total. I had 3 in my 20s and 3 in my 30s. Okay, my 3 in my 20s, I was a store manager. I was young. I was not focusing on my health. I was not eating right. I was just chasing the bag, and it was all about getting the bag. And I got the bag. Had a nice house, nice fancy cars, pool in the backyard, lots of materialistic and finite things that I thought made me who I was. But I didn't give my children the time. I didn't spend a lot of time with them. I gave them money, and I made sure that all the bills were paid. And that was my philosophy, because that was all that I knew. In my 30s, after obviously growing up and having older children, I realized that, hey, life is a balance. And I can save a lot of money if I get into the kitchen myself. I can cook a large meal.
Yep.
I can make our own juice. So when you got to drink Hawaiian Punch, and I don't have to go get a gallon jug every other day, $3.99 add up quick.
Yep.
So the main thing I guess I would say as a father of 6, as far as being, what's the right word I'm looking for?
Being frugal.
Being frugal. There we go. Being frugal. I've learned that it's best to learn to do for self. It's learned to, I literally cook, I literally juice. It's just a different approach that you got to take, it's very, it's in America per se. I think a lot of us live beyond our means.
Yeah.
So a lot of people really don't need as much as they think. And I've had moments of struggle with my 6 children where I couldn't afford to buy food. So I would feed all of them, and then daddy would say, don't throw away your food. Bring me your plate when you're done, and I would eat whatever was left over. So I experienced the struggles and the hardship of the financial burden, and I've learned the best way to alleviate that is for me to get into the kitchen myself and learn how to do for myself.
Absolutely.
And the more I can do, the less I have to rely on somebody else.
Absolutely. You know what's interesting, bro? I guess just to kind of, my audience knows me, but mechanical engineer. I'm a MBA, finance, do all that kind of stuff. One of the first things I always tell people is that if you want to basically save money, learn to cook. I always tell brothers that like, man, it's like this. If you're a single man out here or whatever, learn to cook, because the way to a woman's heart is through her stomach. Ladies, the way to a man's heart is through our stomach. But more importantly, if you learn to cook, essentially, you're going to be able to provide for your family. And one thing you said, Kenick, that I love is that you said as a man, you were providing all these materialistic things, but you were essentially losing yourself, and you were losing the relationship with your kids. The Bible says essentially that for what shall it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? Just to kind of piggyback on top of that, what is the profit of man if you have all these materialistic things, but you lose your kids? So I kind of love, bro, how you kind of step back and you started realizing that essentially this is not the business. This is essentially not what I want to be doing, man. And I think there's a lesson in that. Learn to do for yourself. And I loved hearing that. Another thing too, brother, that you said that's kind of dope. I myself am a military kid as well. I mean, I lived in about 11 states, 2 countries, and literally traveled and lived all over the world, which is one reason why when I got into my 20s, I started exploring different religions and things of that nature. And ultimately, it led me back to it strengthened I would say my faith in Jesus Christ and everything. But it was dope because, like you said, when you start hearing the 5 a.m. Muslim call when you're in Africa, or you start basically going to Asia and you're around like Hindu temples or Buddhist temples, you start seeing different parallels in different communities and different cultures. It's nothing in the Asian culture to work 18 hours a day, 6 days a week. It's nothing in the African culture to literally walk 10 or 15 miles a day carrying water because you got to basically provide for your family. I met African men that are truckers that drive about 400 miles essentially almost every day to basically provide for their families. And that work ethic, what I realized is that it doesn't matter whether you're Christian, Muslim, Jewish, Buddhist, or whatever. As men, that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to take care of our families the way that you just got out saying. And I loved how you described that, bro. I loved how you described that.
Hey, man, thank you, brother. And I wholeheartedly believe that, man. And just to hammer that point that you made, it doesn't matter what your faith is. As a man, you have to provide for your family. And providing is more than just money. Money is important. Money is a tool that we do need to build with. You got to know how to use the tools, and we need to have some of it. However, you don't have to put the bag before any and everything else. Don't make it, and my advice to all fathers, don't make the mistakes that I made. I made mistakes early in childhood. I mean, I had my first child, I was 18. So I was obviously still a child myself, but I had a child. Then I had my twin daughters at 22. So I was a very young man with a large responsibility, and I was forced to work because I had to provide to put food on the table. But I got so engulfed in working that I forgot that, hey, they need a hug. They want to go to the park, man. They want to play on the swing.
They want daddy to come to their baseball games and their
exactly
and their boxing matches and everything. Yeah,
exactly, bro. So it's just like for me, and I read memes, man. Memes in today's society, they are educational. But I read a meme one time, and it said that in 20 years, the only people who remember that you worked late or worked a double shift would be your children.
Yep.
They're the only ones. And now that I have older children, my oldest, like I said, he's 19 years old. He'll be 20 next year. My twin daughters are 17. Now, granted, I still have a great relationship with them, but it's not as close as I would like for it to be. And I created that because I made my focus on
money.
Money, you know?
Get in that bag. Get
the bag. And look, I even neglected my health. I was so bad with it that I was that guy to where, hey, I had a pocket full of money, but I had a nice round belly.
But Kenick, bro, you look kind of, I know most of the Muslim brothers that I've met, generally speaking, they're physically in very good shape. Like I said, 90% of the dudes I boxed with, kickbox were all Muslim brothers, black dudes. And they were always in shape. You look like you're in pretty good shape, man. So you said you were slime, you were fat.
I'm in great shape now, but I used to be fat guy because I made the mistake that I feel a lot of us men make.
Yeah.
Which is we just think money makes the world go around. You know what they said, man. Money. More power, more money, power, respect, right?
Cash rules everything around me, which is a stupid, foolish mindset to live your life by. So,
yeah, man. So the one thing that I would say that I really appreciate about my faith, and just for clarity purposes, my faith is in Islam. So I share the same faith as many of my Muslim brothers and sisters. However, I am a Moslem. My religion is Islamism. But again, we share the same faith. I am a Moorish American. That's my descent nature, my nationality. However, I am a true American citizen and I rock with my people. But what I was going to say is that many of our brothers and sisters, like one thing about my faith, what it has taught me is that a couple things. One, money doesn't make the man. That's something that's consistently hammered in our faith and through our teachings, through our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, is that money doesn't make the man, that it takes finance to uplift the nation. And one thing that was distinct is that the Moorish Science of America made a very clear distinction between money and finance. And I used to be a licensed financial advisor. I used to be licensed for life insurance, health insurance, and annuities. Right. So I used to be in the financial sector as well. So I appreciate it. However, I left the financial sector and got into community advocacy and community service work. And when I learned that, when I got that lesson around money doesn't make the man, it's free national standards that make the man and the nation, then I started focusing more on that. Focus on, hey, being a better father, being a better person.
Yeah, what are those three standards, Kenick?
Free national standards.
Free, I got you. Got you. Cool,
yep.
Cool.
So it's free national standards, which is essentially how every nation has their own basic things that they use to help further their cause. We do as well in the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's our organization where we teach a lot of this information through. And some of the things that I've learned, like some of our free national standards are: we live by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We live by those principles. You know, those principles will take you further in life than you having $1 million. But not having principles, not being guided by principles. You know, you could be we don't have obligations to the avaricious. So if somebody is an avaricious person and just wants to hoard wealth and be greedy, those are not the type of people that we really want to associate with too often.
Right. I got you.
I just, we need people that have, hey, we need money. Don't get it twisted. I ain't saying go be a broke Moor. I ain't saying be broke and woke. Nah. That ain't what we own, man. No, we are supposed to be wealthy, with knowledge, rich with understanding, and very comfortable and modest in our life.
You know, one thing, Kenick, that I really do respect about, and I'm gonna get on to the differences between Muslims and Islam. I know a little bit about it and everything, but I want you to explain it to my listeners. But one thing I do honestly really like about like my Sunnis and my Shiites and people like that is that if you take a look at like the United Arab Emirates and Dubai, them people got trillions. And they have properly invested their money in places like Dubai and the United Arab Emirates to the point where the entire world now is starting to kind of congregate around the Muslims that are over there. And it's interesting because one of the issues I've always had as a Black Christian is that you don't see it so much in the like in the white churches or in the Hispanic churches or in the more upscale Asian churches, but in the Black church, we don't spend nearly enough time talking about finances. We talk about, I would say, like basically the opening up the windows of heaven and the showers of blessings, just the prosperity gospel. But in regards to how you actually, as you said, stack generational paper and properly invest our money, I've always kind of wondered why, as a Black person, we don't have like one night a week where we talk about finances inside of our churches on Saturday or Sunday or Wednesday or Tuesday night or whatever. And one thing I find very dope is that in the Muslim culture, they do that. There is a specific agenda in order to basically, okay, this is how you essentially multiply your money. And I respect that a lot. And in the Black churches, I kind of wish that that's one reason why I started Financipation, because in our churches in particular, gangbangers or reformed gangbangers could literally be sitting next to the CPA that's Black. Professional engineer literally can sit every Sunday or Saturday morning next to a guy who used to be the biggest D-boy on the block. But we don't have these type of conversations in the inner city Black churches. And one thing I always kind of found out was dope is that kind of conversation, in my opinion, is being had, I would say, with my Muslim brothers. And I think it's something that our faith can pretty much learn from our Muslims and our Muslim brothers out here, because like you said, there's no spiritual connection to being broke and spiritual. I mean, Abraham was a billionaire. Yeah. Solomon was a billionaire. David was a centimillionaire. So to me, there's no correlation between being broke, as you said, and being spiritual. But a lot of times, unfortunately, in the churches, we can unfortunately, kind of make that correlation. So yeah,
it's unfortunate, and I would, I respect the church. I mean, I'm not a Christian. However, I think that Christianity is all right for those who prefer it. It's actually a quote that we often recite in here is that some of the best Moors are still in the church. So Christianity is all right, and I think it's definitely something that I share those sentiments with you, and I would challenge the Christian community, particularly the leaders, to kind of open their hearts to having more financial lectures. I think bringing in a professional like yourself would be remarkable. With your license, I saw all those credentials at the end of your name. I said, man, I don't even know what all them mean, but I know he do this. And hearing your show, like I've watched some of your videos, I'm like, yeah, the brother's serious. But I think it's going to take people such as yourself, man, who are still in that community to help advocate and say, hey, let's host a financial workshop.
Exactly.
And it doesn't have to be, and when you talk about finance, that's why I really commend you for this approach, even to invite me on the show. It's not limited to faith.
No,
the
not
faith,
at all.
If anything, let's look at the faith-based community as a whole. Like, as a community, we all should be working together. We got so many Christian churches almost in every corner, and we still are struggling to get some basic things that we need in our communities. I think it's just a matter of education. I think, and I can't help it but to say my genuine thoughts, which is I believe that nationality has a lot to do with it. I believe that we struggle as a people to move in the spirit of nationhood because we don't recognize us as a nation. Our people are divided through what we call and recognize as European psychology. They got us think in all these different ways, and we're not even thinking like a traditional nation would. Like, you look at the Chinese, the Japanese, any nation of people, they stick together and work together. Everybody know they got the Chinese stores. Everybody know that the Asians doing nails. Everybody know they selling hair. And everybody just knows that. It's a national thing. And they're going to stick together. I think we as a people need to learn the truth about who we are as an identity so we can move in the spirit of nationhood and work together, because it's hard to address our social and economic situations and challenges if we can't agree on our identity.
Yeah. Let's back up a little bit, Kenick. You
Yes,
said
sir.
You do a lot of work with the FBI and everything and stuff now. You're familiar with J. Edgar Hoover, correct?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you're familiar with some of the insidious rumors that have went about him as far as what he did in the black community, as far as like making sure that certain leaders were mysteriously disappeared and things of that nature. So the FBI today, what are some of the things that they are doing in our community, I guess, from a positive standpoint? You say you work with them and everything. So what are some of the things that they're doing to kind of
Man,
benefit the communities that look like us nowadays?
great question, brother, and thank you for asking that question. And before I go into the benefits, I want to address that common concern around COINTELPRO. Because that was my first question when I attended the FBI Citizens Academy. The first class, I asked, I said, hey, in my community, when you hear FBI, oh man, our people go to the 1950s and 60s, COINTELPRO, and that's the first thing that they say and they do. And they answered the question and they said, hey, that was something that was started in the 60s. It was a surveillance program that was intended to watch the white supremacists, and somebody decided to apply that to the civil rights leaders. And I commend the special agent in charge who said that he doesn't agree with that. They don't agree with that. And they learned that they made a big mistake by doing that because they had violated some of the rights of citizens. So I commend them as an entity for nearly, 50 years later, owning that and recognizing, hey, that was a mistake. And the people who work there today are not the people who worked there 50, 60 years ago. So I realized that, one, there's a lot of just misunderstanding through propaganda that people hear, and many people haven't actually had any actual working relationship or communication with anybody that works for a lot of these government agencies or law enforcement, but we always griping about what they're doing. So what I've learned just from working with them in their organization is that a lot of good things they do in the community, a lot. They investigate hate crimes and color of law violations. That's one of the most important things that
Absolutely.
I think we as a people need to understand. That
Absolutely.
if you as a citizen believe that your rights have been violated by a member of local government, state government, federal government, what we call police brutality, they're actually hate crimes and color of law violations, and they fall within the jurisdiction of the FBI to investigate, as they represent the executive branch of law enforcement. So as I'm learning how government works, I'm realizing that, hey, a lot of our issues that we hear people complaining about in the barbershop, if you just report it to the proper jurisdiction and hold them accountable to the constitutional fold of government, then you can expect a favorable reply. But if you don't move like a citizen because you reject being a citizen, if you don't trust them because of propaganda and never report anything, then you'll never get any information. You'll never get any remedy. Another good thing that they're doing, and something I learned, and one of my favorite things that I learned through the program, was that they showed us a unique case to where they had found a young lady who had been kidnapped. She had a young girl who was the victim of a pedophile. Yeah, you martial artists, I already know what you would want to do to that individual. I will be right there with you. You know,
And
what?
I'm a licensed gun owner too, and I'm a NRA certified pistol and rifle instructor. So yeah.
Oh man, I need to talk with you offline then, brother. I need some training, sir. But
for sure.
The point was this: is that they shared with us a case of how they were able to track this young lady's location through her Nintendo game Switch. She was reported missing by her family, and they were able to track that she had communication with one of her friends, and they were able to use the Nintendo game Switch to peg the cell phone towers to track this young lady and get her and return her back to her family.
Good.
So it was just, when I learned about the things they're doing against violent crimes against children, I realized that the scope of what these people do is far greater than what the average citizen is aware of. And most of us, and I speak from experience, prior to me actually speaking with them, I never thought I would talk to the feds. I listen to Jeezy. I don't like the feds. And that's why a lot of our people don't. They got this wrong impression about, the feds watching me, they this, that, and the third. Nah, man, they regular people. I've learned through the years that, look, it doesn't matter where a person works. It doesn't matter what their faith is, their religion. It doesn't matter their skin complexion. It doesn't matter their socioeconomic condition. None of that matters, man. We're all humans. And in America, we had to live together in harmony, in peace and goodwill. So I've learned that, hey, and now what I say is, what's the difference between the FBI, the MSTA, Financipation, the church? What's the difference? They're all organized groups.
Right.
Yeah, I got a purpose. So yeah, man. So that's kind of my view on them. And there's a YouTube video interview that I did on Crumb TV. Shout out to my brother Crumb. I'll send you the link too.
Yeah,
But
we'll definitely check it out.
yeah, it was like an hour, almost an hour and a half long interview specifically on the FBI, and I answered all, pretty a lot of questions around that.
I hear you. So I mean, yeah, definitely. That's the Bible says that render unto Caesar the things that are Caesar's, render the things that are God the things that are God's. In other words, people respect authority. And I always say like this about cops. Obviously, being a tall, athletic black guy, I've had my fair share of very bad experiences with police officers. But and obviously, you'll find the ones, just like any community, you'll find the 10% that are horrible. You'll find the 10% that are extremely good, and you find the 80% that are somewhere in the middle, depending on the time of the day that it is. At the end of the day, people, I would say this. If something bad happens, I don't call my friends. I call 911. It's just a simple. Let's just keep it completely honest. That's and just because of some of the hobbies that I have, and just kind of some of my family members, stuff like that, I know people that are like high-level FBI agents, that are high-level, let's just say the DEA agents, things of that nature. And talking with these people, like you said, Kenick, some of the stories these men have told me about what they're doing in our communities, I can't get them on the podcast because of what they do, but like literally to all the young black men and all the brothers that are listening to this, there are a lot of cops out here who look just like me and you that are doing things to keep our community safe from people who don't look like us, who want us gone. It's as simple as that. And you're never gonna hear about these stories. These gentlemen will never come out here. I can't tell you anything else outside of that. But there are a lot of really, really good FBI agents, a lot of really good CIA agents, a lot of really good DEA agents who look like us and who don't look like us, who want the best for our community. So I'm happy, Kenick, that you basically are kind of working with the FBI in that respect. So yeah.
Yeah, man. Like I said, to your point, brother, they're regular people. And when I visited Quantico earlier this year, I was amazed at how many brothers and sisters work there.
Yeah.
I was like,
yep.
These brothers and sisters, they look like me. Yep. We can relate to each other. And again, I recently did a educational workshop with the FBI. And I did a presentation with the FBI in Norfolk, and I did the exact same presentation with the Moorish Science of America during our most recent convention. And I asked both groups the same question. When I was presenting in front of the Moorish American community, I asked my fellow brothers and sisters, I said, hey, when you think of the FBI, what do you think?
21 years and I ain't never met a good cop.
You know what I mean? Exactly.
That's what we were taught and told by hip hop and everything else.
Yeah, man. And I asked the FBI the same thing, and both groups responded with propaganda.
Yeah. Yep.
Both groups.
That was true.
And to your point, as it relates to finances, we are all working in the same financial space. We all deal with Federal Reserve notes. So we shouldn't be shying away from any entity of the federal government, whether it's the FBI or anybody else. We should all be good citizens, better citizens. So we need to be working on learning how to be harmonious with each other, man. Because ain't nobody got time to be living in fear. Nah, I ain't doing nothing.
Nah. Plus, not to mention the fact, my days of living around gangbangers and guys doing drive-bys in front of where I live, down the street from where I live, and dudes hustling on the corners. I mean, that's no kind of way to live. As black men, I know I have been in environments like that. I lived in 4 different murder capitals. And that's no kind of way I want my children to be raised. There's no kind of way I want anybody's kids to be raised. At the end of the day, if you're going to get that element out of our communities, out of our streets, it's all going to make us a better, stronger people. It's as simple as that. That's how I look at it anyway.
Hey.
Yep. And to the bad cops, there are these things called cell phone cameras. So Derek Chauvin, you will be caught, right?
That's right. And remember, color of law violations, hate crimes. That's right. One thing I want. That when I talk to the FBI, that has been my point of interest for many, many years now. Like that's what even got me into this Moorish science stuff, man. My older brother had been kidnapped by Virginia Beach police. They tried to pin a robbery on my brother. And that got me into researching and studying and trying to identify what can I do. Because at that time, I identified as a so-called black man. And I was like, hey, why is it legal to kill a black man in America? Why are we being targeted for mass incarceration? And that's what prompted me to learn about my nationality. That's what prompted me to go into the Moorish Science of America, to study the law and to get involved and give back to my community a little bit differently. And it was a true inspiration for me. And now, 10 years later, I'm wearing garbs. Man, 10 years ago, I wasn't wearing garbs, man. I used to wear a suit every day, brother, with a bow tie. So, So yeah, man, just it's growth and development, man. But you know, they're regular people, man, and we got to work together with everybody, not just them, but with everybody. But we got to know how to report things when we're violated and not complain about our conditions. Because even bringing it back to manhood, a man brings resolutions. A man is not a person who's going to sit around and gripe and complain and whine about his conditions. No, get up, go to the gym. Can I talk about that? Can I just vent for a second on what a man?
Absolutely, Kenick.
So look,
bro, you know what time it is. Definitely,
thank you, brother. So look, first of all, men, can I speak to my brothers? Can we get rid of the bellies, please?
We don't. None of that body positivity BS here. We don't do that. We don't fool around with that over here.
Good, because
body positivity, not for the fellas anyway.
I'm sorry, I ain't with that. No, obesity is plaguing America. Okay, and if you're a man that can't run,
thank you.
If you can't jump, if you like, I have 6 children. So years ago, I got caught in Virginia. Now, before I had my 6, obviously I just had 4 at that time. But I was in Virginia. I got caught in a really bad flood. I'm talking about water waist deep. And no electricity. And I'm walking. This is before I really got back into the gym. I was eating right, so my diet was clean, but I wasn't physically
You wasn't in shape.
Was not in shape. And man, having to walk through the water, all I had was a pistol on me that, you know what I mean? I was like, man, I'm tired though. You know what I mean? Money couldn't work. And I realized then, like, man, as a man, you got to be able because what if you got to grab your family in an emergency?
Thank you.
What if you got to protect somebody? You know, you can't be weak. So yeah. And it produces testosterone in your body.
Thank you. That's
work out. So that's one thing, just basic things that I think
exactly.
men have got to be working out. A lot of men nowadays, we're becoming too feminine because men are not taking care of themselves, not eating properly, eating a lot of excess poison, just garbage.
Yep.
Eating bad, resulting in a belly, resulting in being lethargic. You know, can't please your woman. Now she mad at you because of your diet.
And you mad at yourself because you know you're not doing it the way you're supposed to be.
That's right, man. And that's usually
and
that's usually enough motivation to help any man get it right. Like,
it should be.
You're gonna perform. Your woman is gonna be pleased with you when you take better care of her. So take care of her, man. Your children are gonna look up to you. You'll be a role model to your children. I can't tell my children to go take care of your health and they look at me and I'm sitting around lethargic, belly all protruding, and I'm lazy and I can't move. Nah, I'm gonna outwork my children to this day. To this day. My daughter wanted to race me recently, man. You know, she got a little older, so she was 16. And when she heard it, when she sees it, she gonna laugh at it. But, you know, she was talking on her junk. Daddy, I'm the fastest in my school. I'm fast, Daddy. Oh, yeah, I could beat you. You could beat me. Come on. So I went to the park, and I raced my daughter. Now, I beat her barely. I ain't gonna lie. Okay, I got courage for truth. She fast, all right? But being able to run with my children, you know, being able to keep up with them. That is why, as a man, as a father, you have to take care of yourself. You have to. You know, you got to have that balance with life. So get your money, but don't lose yourself in chasing the money.
Yeah, it never makes it in my industry. What I do, I guess, in corporate America right now for the healthcare benefits and everything. What's interesting is that it never makes any sense to me when a person spends all of their health to get their wealth. And then they turn around, they're like 42 years old and they got to spend all their wealth to get their health back. It makes literally no sense. But bro, I see it all the time. I was talking to this Green Beret brother the other day, and he was telling me, Chris, he basically has been overseas, like Afghanistan, Iraq, the whole 9, South America, everywhere. And he was telling me, dude, I'm in a weird world because I'm constantly around like some of the most fit and shaped dudes in the world, period, just because of what I do for a living. He took his family to Disney World. He was like, I'd never realized how fat Americans were until I was around the civilian world. I was like, you know the scary part about it, bro? You're in Florida. Here in Florida or whatever, the people are this is actually the most in shape state in the country. I was like, so if you're saying the people that in and around Florida and around Disney World were fat, I hate to say it, that's not even a true microcosm of America. But he's like, dude, so many men are walking around this country that are liabilities to themselves and their family. They're so fat they can't take care of themselves. They can't please their woman. And what I always tell guys is this: if God blesses you with a job, right? Let's say you make, I don't know, $100,000 a year. and you die of a heart attack at 40, guess what, bruh? The retirement age is 65. You just cost your family $2.5 million because you died 25 years prematurely. And just like me and that military brother was saying, like, there's so many men walking around that are absolute liabilities. My father is almost 70 years old. He helped me move a 2-bedroom apartment up 4 flights of stairs, and he's 70 years old. Wow. Like, if I show people a picture and they're like, your dad is how old? Because he's still in phenomenal shape. I mean, he was in the military he was a career military, so he kind of has that advantage. But at the end of the day, like you said, you take care of your body, you're going to please your woman. Your health is going to be good. Your finances are going to be good because they've done study after study. Healthy, in shape men basically get promoted much faster than fat, sloppy men. And on top of that, your mental capability is going to be better. And it's always kind of sad to me when I see so many men that is walking around as just liabilities to the world and everything. So it's just crazy. One thing you said also as well, Kenick, masculinity. It's kind of under siege today. I would just say, from a Moslem perspective, what are your thoughts? What does your faith teach about being a man, I guess, and masculinity in our world? Period. It's in our world.
Well, generally speaking, and I'll use our law, for example. I'm going to use one of our laws, Act 7. It teaches that husbands must support your wife and children. And that's the law. As a husband, you must support your wife and children. Our faith teaches us that as a man, you must take unto thyself a wife and become a faithful member of society. You must take unto thyself a wife and obey the ordinance of Allah. So you have to take unto thyself a wife. Taking unto yourself a wife completes you as a man. It gives you that helpmate that you need to become a better person, and it's on the path to becoming a father. And she should be your wife. So we teach and promote that heavily. We need the family unit, the original family unit, the father, the mother, and the child, the true Holy Trinity, to be standing together as one and to function as one. We need to strengthen that nucleus of the original family. So, our faith, it really teaches along the lines of the same basic universal teachings that apply to essentially every faith that I've been able to study and learn from, is that it all teaches the same things. Be a man, take care of your family, be a protector, protect your family. We even have in our Quran, our Holy Quran, in the Moorish Science Temple of America. You can see that, but yes, a little short pamphlet. It's not very lengthy, but we have instructions in here. We got a chapter entitled "Warnings for Young Men."
Yeah, I've read that book, by the way.
Praise Allah. Well, it is.
Like I said, bro. I mean, I was around NOI dudes for decades in Philly. I mean,
yeah. So that's great. So you understand our faith teaches us, if we have warnings for men as a man, telling you what to look for in a woman, telling you what not to look for in a woman. We don't, we're not a fan of women being harlots, or what we modernly known as prostitution, or promiscuous, or just fast, or jump off. However you want to talk it, whatever terminology resonates with you. We don't want our women to be out there in the streets like that. We want our women to be modest. All right. Have some class, preserve yourself. I mean, again, I'm a father, so I always speak from the perspective of, I have twin daughters. They're 17. So what was you doing at 17? All right. They're trying to do, you know what I mean? So I get it. I get the world. I understand what we're dealing with. However,
hey, Kenick, I was doing the same thing at 17 that you were, bro.
Yeah. See, exactly.
But no kids that I know of, so yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. And you said something too I wanted to go back to. You said it in your, the last time you were speaking, and it really resonated. I just want to hammer that point. I hope everybody listening to the audience took heed to what he said around health. And I'm going to paraphrase it the way that I took it, but essentially, either you invest in your health today, or you pay for it in medical bills later.
And it's a lot more expensive later on.
Yeah. And as a man, you have to be healthy. If I'm not mistaken, don't women traditionally outlive us?
Yes. And like every culture, every religion, God gives them about a good 10% more time on this planet. I have my reasons why. I have my suspicions as to why, but yeah, women typically outlive us. As simple as that.
Yeah. So my brothers, can we work to be healthier so we can live longer for our families? Because our families need us. Like I used to. And again, I'm not advocating. I know everybody has their own respective diet choices. Myself, I personally choose to live what they would call plant-based life. I've been doing this lifestyle for about 8 years, where I eat minimal animal protein. The only animal protein that I've eaten would be some fish, but I try to only if it's wild caught. But I've learned over the years that we have to, as men, we have to take care of our health.
Thank you.
Got so many brothers, man, who to your point, man, you said it so well, bro. And that's why I kind of got stuck on it. But you was like, bro, they work their whole life and stack their money up. And then when they finally thinking they're comfortable, they're good, they got to go and spend all this money on medical bills because they neglected their health for 20, 30 years.
Thank you. Yep.
And what is the life of such a man? Like, why would you want to live that life, man? Like, no, we got to have balance. So the same way as I made my point earlier around finances and money not being the sole thing that you chase, it's really about having a healthy work-life balance. So
that's exactly it. That's exactly it. I would just say as well, just to kind of piggyback on that, from a Christian perspective and everything, as far as what a man's role is in our society and masculinity, it makes it clear. I mean, at the end of the day, men, we are supposed to protect our families. That's the first thing I'm gonna talk about. If you read the Bible, Genesis 14:14 or whatever, Abraham, who was a billionaire, if you basically take his wealth and you move it to forward today, the dude had 318 trained men that were fighters. They're like legit killers or whatever. And when his ignorant nephew Lot got captured, he sent these dudes and himself basically to go get his kid back. The way I interpret that as a black man in 2023 is that as a man, you are supposed to protect your family and protect the community that's around you. So if my nephews do something stupid, as a man, I'm supposed to basically help him get out of that situation. If as a man, I'm supposed to basically protect my wife and my two sons. That's basically that's basically one of the most basic concept things that they've given us. Additionally, in addition to that, we also are supposed to provide for our family. After Adam got thrown out of the Garden of Eden and everything, what did God tell him? Okay, the ground is cursed. You're going to be working by the sweat of your brow. And in every religion that I've ever seen, men, we are supposed to get up at 4 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock, whatever your career decides or whatever. And you're supposed to figure out a way to put food on that table and to keep a hedge of protection above your head. So men, you're supposed to protect your family. You're supposed to provide for your family. And on top of that, you are also supposed to lead them. And to me, a lot of brothers today ain't doing it. A lot of white men today ain't doing it. A lot of Asian, Hispanic men ain't doing that in America. And I think that's the reason why our society is as jacked up as it is, because men are not protecting their families, they're not providing for them, and unfortunately, they're not leading in the way they're supposed to. Simple as that.
Hey, man, I would second everything that you said. And I would even offer the perspective that he's speaking for all men. My faith is in Islam, but brother, you speaking for me too. It doesn't matter.
Thank you.
I really hope that that's something that the listening audience and everybody can take away from this discussion, is that our faith doesn't negate or say anything contrary as regarding to our responsibilities, period. As men, we have the same basic functions. How you choose to practice your religion and express your spirituality is up to you. But if you do it right, then you're going to follow the golden rule that they all share. Do unto others how you wanted them to do unto you. Treat others how you want to be treated. They all teach the same thing. You
exactly.
know, in my faith, look, we love Jesus. We studied the 18 years of Jesus' life that's missing from the Bible. We love Jesus. We are descendants. We are the same bloodline. Like, I look at you, you my brother. I don't care what your religious choice is.
Hair like wool, skin like bronze.
Exactly,
like
bro.
Brass.
Exactly, bro. You know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna do the same for you that I would want you to do for me and for my family. And if you, regardless of your religious choices, if you think that that's gonna be a difference maker in how you treat people, that makes you a bad human being. Period. And I really appreciate your insight. And the only thing that I would challenge is that, hey, this ain't exclusive to a so-called black man, a so-called white man, a Christian, a yellow man, or anybody, any of the color spectrums. Nah, this is for human beings, and this is a dialogue that all men can adhere to. Every man needs to be fit. Like, I've been getting up, I get up, go to the gym 5 o'clock a.m. every day.
It's the way to do it.
I don't care how tired I am. I don't care how I feel. And I don't like going to the gym. But I love to be able to protect my family. I love that if they need daddy to grab the groceries, I could hook them all on one arm and walk in.
Thank you.
You know, I love how I could play with my children, man. I could grab my daughter and throw my children on each arm and run with them. And that's what it's about. So, yeah, man, I think it's a wonderful, wonderful approach and dialogue. And I hope all men take this serious, man.
I agree. Let me ask you a question, Kenick. I have one son, and my wife right now is about 7.5 to 8 months pregnant. So I got another baby boy on the way. Thank you, God, for that. Yeah. So my legacy, my legacy is going to be secure. Thank you, Jesus. Your thoughts, Kenick, on modern day feminism and everything, in regards to the concept of I don't need a man, destroy the patriarchy, independence, kind of. So, as a father, what are your thoughts on it? Because you have 3 daughters, I believe.